everyone. My name is Kriya Shannon, and I'm so excited for our next guest. She is a worldwide best-selling children's STEM author, and I'm so excited for her to be here for you guys to learn about her journey. Everybody, please welcome Sasha Alston. Hi.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Thank you so much for being here. So, Sasha, please, if you could tell me about yourself.
Yes, so I graduated last year in 2020 from Pace University
Mhm.
with a degree in information systems and a minor in marketing. And
Okay.
so and that school is based in New York City, but I am from Washington, D.C. And so that's where I am now. Um, and also, so I wrote two children's books, Sasha Savvy Loves the Code and Sasha Savvy Starts It Up. And right now I work in the marketing advertising agents, advertising industry.
Wow, that's wonderful. Now, tell me, Sasha, what are your hobbies or what do you like to do for fun?
I like to hang out with friends, so going out to eat and going to museums.
Mhm.
I like to read. I like to go to the gym. Um, yeah, those are kind of like the main things that I do.
Okay, cool. I love all those things as well, especially the eating. now, now tell me, when you were a child or kid, did you know what you want to be? Did you want to be a children's author? What did you want to be?
No, not at all. When I was a child, I actually wanted to be a lawyer. And that was mainly because I used to watch Law and Order SVU all the time. I probably really shouldn't have been watching, but I used to love that show and I still love it now. And so um, I wanted to either be a lawyer or a detective just based off of like watching those kind of TV shows or even like drama movies.
Yes.
But having going to a STEM-based high school in DC kind of put me on a different path.
Okay. Okay. And I love Law and Order SUV as well. It's like one of my favorites, so I understand. Now,
Yeah.
what's a fun fact about yourself?
A fun fact. Um,
Something unique that most people don't know about you.
I think a lot of people don't know that I was actually born in California. When I have a lot of interviews, typically they say like I was born and raised in Washington D.C. And for some reason, I don't know. I guess I should clear it up, but I just don't really say anything. But I was actually born in California, and so typically nobody knows that. Probably like a few of my friends, but it's just not something that I really say.
Okay. Oh, wow. Now, as a child, what was your favorite book or book series when you were a child?
I used to read. I can't remember the full series name, but I think it's Junie B. Is it Junie B. Jones?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about.
yeah. So I used to read that all of the time. And it's another book called The Beacon Street Girls. I used to
Mhm.
read that. That was more so kind of like middle school.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and it's funny because when I started writing my children's book, I actually checked out a lot of Junie B. Jones books just so I can really like get into the mindset of like a 10-year-old.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Now, tell me about your books.
Okay. So just based off of me being in high school, and understanding the importance of STEM just by, teachers and just my surroundings, um, I thought that it was really important to write a children's book to get girls and African Americans or people of color interested in coding, just because outside of my high school, I wouldn't have known anything about this. I don't think
Mhm.
I would have been aware of it probably until some point in college, just because I had friends that were at other DC schools and they didn't even know what STEM was or like what coding was. So I'm like, if if you if like just people in my everyday life aren't familiar with it, then I'm sure on a large scale a lot of people don't know what it is. And so I thought that that would be important, especially for our community, just to show them like this different career paths that you can take.
Mhm.
And I speak to a lot of students now, so this was like after the book, um, typically the boys and girls either say that they want to like do music, or the boys want to go into sports. But I just feel like a lot of people don't realize that this is another industry where you can make good money as well. Just because that's what that's that's something that I know that they really care about. Like, do you make a lot of money? Like that they always ask. And so I think that just opening their horizons, like you don't just have to be a doctor and lawyer, or be a celebrity to have a good job, or what is deemed a good job.
Yes. I love that you wrote about coding because I didn't even know about coding until maybe a few years ago. And it was because I kept seeing like YouTube ads and I was like, what is coding? What is so the fact that you're letting like teaching younger kids at a younger age, middle school, that's just it'll put them above, where we were when we found out. So I love that about your stories.
Thank you.
Now, what's your favorite writing spot or where do you find most comfort writing?
Um, I don't think that I have a favorite writing spot. Because I honestly just kind of write anywhere, whether it's my room or just like on the couch in the living room, etc. But I feel like the best um location would be probably like outside on a balcony, or just like um either a balcony or just some kind of coffee shop, just because I've did those things before and it's been more relaxing. I feel like more focused versus just kind of being in my own space. And I haven't been able to do that since like 2019. So that's why I guess it's still my favorite spot, but I haven't did it in a long time.
I understand. Now, how do you get your ideas about characters and concepts for your books?
So most of the both of the two books are really based off of kind of my own experiences, but in the eyes of a 10-year-old, just because like I went to a coding camp, but I went to one when I was like 15 and 11th or 12th grade or 16, something around there. And so it just really just like the things that I went through, but just applied it to a younger character.
Yeah, I got you. Now, your images in your books are beautiful. How were you able to find an illustrator?
Yeah. So with the first book, I was able to find that illustrator actually through my mom's friend, because my mom is a writer as well. So she has a lot of she has like a lot of author friends. And we were just like on her Facebook and we saw when her friends had a new book and we're like, oh my God, we have to get this illustrator. Like she's great. And so she's actually a really big illustrator, like for Scholastic and all those sorts of things. And so at that point, I want to say she was like booked 2 years in advance, but because because she was like in love with my project, and she thought that it was going to be like a small book that like nobody would really know about. She said that I can do this for this certain amount, which was great. It was still expensive to me because the book cover alone was $1,500. So I was like, okay, like I guess it's but not really.
Hey,
but yeah. But,
go ahead.
yeah, so I think I think something happened with the agent because they were like, oh, you're supposed to be booked, like you're not supposed to take different projects, because she found out about it on her own because the book got so big. And so it's ended up still working out, but I think she thought that it was going to be a smaller book that just was going to be under the wraps kind of thing.
Oh no, no, ma'am. This book blew up.
And so she was awesome. And then for the second book, Sasha Savvy Starts It Up, I was able to find somebody on Fiverr, which is a site like where you can find someone for any kind of projects.
Oh wow, that's great. I love that you found someone that you knew your like friend of the family, because illustrations now are like $3,000 and up, so it's really expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So, how were you able to get funding for your book projects? Because it's very expensive. Like, did you do a Kickstarter or anything like that?
Yes, I did a Kickstarter.
Okay.
I was going to, well, I actually sent the book out to different agents to get it published, but because I received like rejections, and someone actually, because it was a picture book originally, the lady suggested, well, the publisher suggested that I should have it as a chapter book because it needs to be for older kids, so because they'll understand it more than a younger child. And so once I went back and did that, she still rejected me. And so that was very discouraging because I was like a freshman in college. So I was just thinking, like, should I still publish this? Like, what is the step to actually do it yourself? So I really just did a lot of research. And I was originally going to use GoFundMe, but then just like through my research, I was able to find Kickstarter. And I felt like that was better because it's more towards like funding your actual dreams and businesses and stuff like that. When GoFundMe is kind of more general or personal.
Yeah.
And so I created like a video for that. It's like a 2-minute video of just explaining, you know, why people should be interested in donating to the Kickstarter, and just kind of like some things that I did in STEM. Because I want to say at that point, I had about 5 internships in tech. So yes, thank you. And so I kind of had the, I don't want to say the work side, but kind of like the intern side of it, but also me being in school too. So I was able to see how things are. And I just felt like it was a lack of diversity. Like, but in my internships, I'll probably be like one or of 2 African Americans. And so I just felt like we really needed to do something to get more people of color into tech. And I think it starts with the younger kids being familiar with it so they can potentially go into it. And one thing, I actually don't try to, I mean, I'm for education, but also try to explain that, you know, you can get certifications or you can do online videos as well if that's not the route you want to take. Especially because my high school, we by the end of our once we graduated high school, we had the opportunity to take a certification in computer science, Photoshop, like all those different things, so certain students can just go straight into the workforce. So that's why, yeah, and so that's why it's definitely something that I am open to promoting. If you're not interested in going to college, I am definitely going to promote that.
Yeah.
Just like different routes. Yeah. And
It's
so, yeah.
it's so many free, well, some are free and some you have to pay, but so many certifications now that are available. So I agree. Like,
Yeah.
if you can get it without going through all of that education, then get it.
Yeah, I actually have a male friend of mine, because he did 1 year of college and he just saw that most of the stuff he really could have just learned online. So he dropped out. He got all his skills online, moved to Silicon Valley, like San Francisco area, and was able to get a job. And I'm like, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm not paying for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, with the Kickstarter, my goal was $5,000. And surprisingly, I was able to reach the goal in like 3 or 4 days. Like, it was super quick.
Whoa.
Yeah. And that was just off of me. And at that point, that was just off of me posting on social media. But at that point, I wasn't a social media person. So I just made a Twitter. I was kind of on Facebook, kind of not. And then I just made an Instagram too. So like everything was new because I wasn't really interested in like being on social media, honestly. And so it was just amazing to me that with me not having like that many followers or anything, like it was able to like spread around quickly.
Yeah, you go, girl. Like, that is good. Wow, that's a wonderful story. How were you able to get it published in another language? Because I know it's in a different language as well. So how did you get that?
Yeah, that kind of just happened spontaneously because I received an email from a Korean agent who was aware of a Japanese publisher that was looking for like STEM related books or STEM education, because at that time, I think it was 2019 or 2018, like all of the schools in Japan were going to have some kind of like STEM class or like computer science class. And so
Mhm.
they were looking for different kind of books that would kind of teach kids about what that is. And
Oh,
so,
okay.
um, so yeah, I was able to do like a book deal with them by just translating it in Japanese. And so that was super awesome because, like I said, like I really was just trying to promote um, the importance of STEM through literacy, but I didn't really expect it to go kind of beyond that.
Wow, it well flew off, girl. Everybody loves your book. Now, how can you tell me about the Disney Dream Big campaign?
Yes. So yeah, like honestly, most of the things that I have experienced have been through like people finding out about the Kickstarter or finding out about the book. And so I received a Facebook message from the National Geographic photographer. And so she was doing a partnership with Disney and asked if I was interested in being a part of it. I'm like, of course.
Yeah.
And so I was able to be a part of the campaign and shoot the it was a full-blown like 2-3 minute campaign, but I was able to shoot that at her house. Um, and I was like one of 19 girls that they chose throughout the country to be featured in it. So it was super awesome to be a part of that.
That is awesome, girl. That is so
Thank
awesome.
you.
Oh my goodness. Now, how difficult was it for you as a new writer entering the field? Did you run into any complications or anything like that?
Um, with with doing the picture book, because I thought it was gonna be kind of more for kids, so it was definitely a simple book. But when I had to go back and actually have it as a chapter book, it was kind of challenging, just because I want to say the book was like 1,000 words, but then I had to make it 6,000. So I really had to
Oh,
expand like and think about how this book would be. Excuse me. So I think that was kind of the most challenging part. And that's why I did a lot of research and I went to libraries to just check out books around that age range. There
mhm.
isn't many STEM books, so I couldn't like go that route. But just seeing how other children's chapter books are kind of like helped me with that.
Okay. Okay. Now, if you could think of one person who inspired you and your vision, who would it be?
I would say between my mom and then also Bazoma St. John. I would say my mom too, just because throughout this entire time, and she was said to my manager, she's been very helpful and supportive and just like really there for every step of the way. Because when I was in college, I had to do a lot of speaking engagements. So that required me to like travel to different places like Ohio, California, New Mexico. Like I had to do um, a lot of that. She helped with the planning of the speaking engagements, and even sometimes she was able to travel with me.
Mhm.
So she was definitely helpful with that. And then with her being a writer, she was able to kind of like guide me with how to do certain things as an author. Next, I would say Bazoma St. John. She is the chief marketing officer at Netflix. And I'm just really inspired by her of like all the things that she's done in the tech industry. And something that was shocking to me was that she didn't go to school for marketing or STEM. I want to say it was her major was English.
Oh,
So
wow.
so that's something that I tell students as well. Like there's different routes that you can go into tech if you don't want to be a computer science major or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Um, and what I found to be interesting is that her first job um, is at the same company that I'm at now. So that made me feel like, okay, definitely one day I could be someone like that. Hopefully.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. Now, I know you've been featured a lot of places. What are some of the places you've been featured and or maybe what is one place that you were featured that you were just like, wow, I can't believe, they're talking about me in my book. No.
I would say two places. One, the Huffington Post. Um, someone from that company reached out to me probably like a month after the Kickstarter came out. And that was super shocking. Huffington Post and Black Enterprise, both of those were super shocking just because, like I said, I really just didn't envision it to go that far to the point where I would be featured in like major publications or be in articles and stuff like that. And I'd expect that. And then another thing, I was featured in the Washingtonian magazine, and that's like a well-known magazine in DC. And I was definitely proud of that, of just like being from DC, because even though I was born in California, I moved here when I was 6 weeks. That's why it's not something I would say.
Yeah.
And so I, just like being here, definitely felt like that was, I'm sorry, that was just like super exciting to be featured in that kind of magazine when I'm from here.
That's beautiful. I love that. Now, if you could have dinner with any author, who would it be and why?
Hmm.
And it can be from the past or someone, now.
Okay. So one of my favorite books is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And I would say I would definitely be interested in having a dinner with him, because he honestly kind of like helps with, not him directly, but his book kind of helped me on the path of like wanting to do something innovative or just like thinking outside of the box, because I read that book 11th grade, and that was the same year where I got my first internship at Microsoft. So like it was all around the same time of me like really having like a goal of like being in marketing and tech and all those sorts of things. So I think meeting with him would definitely be great to get like more knowledge or tips.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. I love that. I love that. Now, what is it like to be a children's author? Are you recognized, or do you go in stores and you see your book and you're just like, wow, like I wrote that, I did that? Like, what is it like?
Yeah, it's super fun and exciting because I don't know all of the books that are featured in different bookstores. So there's been a few times where I've gone into a store and I've actually saw my book, and it's just like super exciting that like something where you were just in your because I was writing this in college too. So when I was just in my dorm or just like in the library writing this, to now actually see this in a store is amazing. And a few times, just more so in the DC area, I am recognized like, oh, are you Sasha? Well, they call me Sasha Savvy, but they just connect me with the book because it's the same name. And there's been a lot of times where I'll go to different speaking engagements, not kid related ones, but with some for like working professionals, and they'll be like, oh, I've heard of that book. I think I've saw that on LinkedIn before. So like the word has definitely got out about the book. It's just so interesting because like I said, like I didn't have that kind of social media base to like where someone would think that it would be easy to do that.
The book is powerful. I've seen it on LinkedIn all the time. So we love it. Now, what is something you wish you'd known prior to becoming a children's author that may have like helped you on your journey?
I would probably say getting used to the actual process of being a speaker, because like I was thinking of it on a lower scale, I didn't realize that like people authors would have actual speaking engagements, or like I knew about like book signings, but I didn't really think about the fact that I could actually be a public speaker and kind of like speak about my book and speak about my journey. So that definitely allowed me to have another path, another career path of like being an author, speaker, and at that time like being a student as well.
Yeah.
But I think that if I knew that, I kind of probably would have prepared for it, because I know like in the beginning, and I'm honest, I'm still an introvert, but I've been able to like for the last few years since I've been doing this, I've been like more comfortable. But I think I would have prepared for that back then.
Okay. Well, I've seen a couple of your interviews and you're great. Like I would have never thought that you were an introvert, but you're
Yeah,
doing
like
great.
thank you. Like my interviews in 2017. I mean, they're probably fine to like whoever listens or like reads the article, but I just know that I was nervous and not comfortable.
I get it. Now, what is something that you think you want kids to learn most and enjoy about your books?
I want them to definitely know that they can put whatever they put their minds to,
Mhm.
because with the character and even just like in real life, I've struggled with my coding classes and computer science in general. So like it's definitely not something that I try to promote as easy or a simple thing to do.
Mhm.
Um, but like within a few examples, Sasha is able to like overcome her challenges and like really able to figure it out on her own. So I definitely think that just like being able to whatever you put your mind to, you can achieve it. So that's probably like my main takeaway from it. And so with my books, I try to really have like different messages or like have things like a normal everyday life, but just factoring or like just putting in little STEM components just to make it like more relatable. And
Yeah.
so yeah.
And I love that in the book how at first coding was difficult for her, but she did not give up. She persevered and she got through it. So I love that about your book. Now, what do you have planned next?
My plan is to from my second book, I was able to have an actual create an actual website and have products. But I am looking to I'm not sure if I am or not, but I'm interested in having like a third book in the series, and that'll probably be the last one, just to have three books. I haven't decided like what the book will be about, so that's something that I would definitely have to kind of consider. But with the second book focusing on entrepreneurship, I
Okay.
think the third one would kind of have to be like something outside of that, so it can properly like
Yeah.
flow.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, where can someone follow you on your social media so they can support you, follow you, purchase your books, reach out to you if they want to get you for a speaking engagement?
Mhm. So on Instagram, I have two Instagrams, Sasha Ariel Ventures. That's my business page. And then my personal page on Instagram and Twitter is I am Sasha Ariel. So those are kind of like the main places that I'm on. I also have a Facebook page, which is Sasha Ariel. And then on LinkedIn, I am Sasha Alston. So one of those places would be great.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sasha, for being here today and just sharing your journey. It has been a wonderful pleasure meeting you and just learning about what things you have done to get here and more
Mhm.
to come. So
Yeah.
I'm just so excited for you, girl. You are breaking barriers and making STEM on the forefront for kids. So I'm just so grateful for that. So thank you guys for being here. Please go find her, support her, like her page, purchase her books, and just follow her journey on her social medias. And I look forward to speaking with you next time. Thank you guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.